We're live on Facebook, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. My name is Lionel Chitty. I'm the Executive Director for the Nassau County Office of Minority Affairs. Today's presentation will be our Boost Nassau Small Business Resource webinar. We put this webinar together because there's a lot of information for our constituents here in Nassau County, for our businesses, for our residents. We wanted to make sure that we reviewed some of the resources available to you in order for you to be able to access them. We have a lot of information. We have some great presenters here. But before we get started, I wanted to reach out and thank our County Executive, Laura Curran, for working with us to put this together, and also our Deputy County Executive, Evelyn Simmons, for working behind the scenes to help us coordinate this and get all the parties involved. So we're going to just get started right now and kick off with our screen. I'd first like to introduce our partners, our collaborators. We have Amy Flores from the Office of Hispanic Affairs. Amy, just want to give an introduction.
Sure. Thank you so much, Lionel. Good morning, everyone. My name is Amy Flores. I'm the Executive Director for the Nassau County Office of Hispanic Affairs. And I am so happy to be able to come together with so many wonderful collaborators this morning to provide the much needed assistance and information to help our small businesses. Nassau County is here. We're supporting all of our businesses, and we're looking forward to continuing that partnership so that we can help our businesses recover throughout this COVID-19 pandemic. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming together and for giving us the opportunity to share this wonderful information this morning. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Amy. Next, I'd like to introduce our Executive Director for the Office of Asian American Affairs, Farah Mazawala.
Thank you, Lionel. Again, I'm Farah Mazawala, the Executive Director of Nassau County's Office of Asian American Affairs. I'd like to thank all the panelists for coming and helping support Nassau County and making sure that we have access to the services and resources that we need. To the constituents, these are such important resources. And, if you need help, our outreach offices are here to help and assist you in finding services and having to navigate through the different programs that are out there. So I'm looking forward to the seminar, not only presented to the constituents, for us also to learn about the different resources available. Thank you.
Thank you, Farah. Thank you, Farah and Amy. We appreciate you participating with us. Again, we work collaboratively to make sure that we can serve all of our constituents here in Nassau County and get this pertinent information out to them. So right now, we're just going to start with our presentation. If we can go ahead and get the screen up. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Again, this is our Boost Nassau Resource webinar. We just introduced our other executive directors. And again, this is to learn about funding available through Nassau County and New York State to help your business recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. Next slide. All right, today's presenters, we're going to have Dr. Regina Williams, Nassau County Office of Minority Affairs Deputy Director, and she's also the Boost Nassau Resource Center Manager, and she's going to be reviewing the Boost Nassau Resource Center and its portal and what the services they provide for constituents and businesses. Then we're going to have Jazmyn Blockson, Conor McCarthy, and also Finnegan from the National Development Council. They will be explaining the Boost Nassau Main Street Grant Program. Again, there will be more items coming up, but we want to make sure we have the professionals who will be managing that program explain to you exactly what the process is and what opportunities there are available for you. And then last but not least, we have Huey-Min Chuang, who was from the New York State Empire State Development. She will be reviewing the New York State Small Business Recovery Grant Program. That is, again, via New York State, and that's about $800 million. So she's going to go through that in detail. And we're just hoping that people do apply and make sure that they can take advantage of this. Again, this whole entire program is to help our businesses recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. Next slide. Dr. Williams, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, and good morning to each and every one of you that have joined us in this presentation. I serve as Resource Manager. I'm Dr. Regina L. Williams. Thank you, Executive Director Chitty, for the introduction. The Boost Nassau Resource Center is one of the initiatives of our Nassau County Executive, Laura Curran. So we just want to give you just a brief overview of what we're here to do in serving all of our small business owners. Next slide, please. So the overview that I'll be sharing with you on this morning includes the online portal, the available resource links that we have on our website, the intake form that you'll be utilizing in order to schedule in-person appointments, as well as the location and contact information for the Boost Nassau Resource Center. Next slide, please. So this is what you'll see when you log on to our website, which is www.nassaucountiny.gov/boostnassau. This is our portal, a one-stop shop for individuals and businesses and nonprofits to determine eligibility for federal, state, and county relief programs and apply for available recovery grants, loans, and program opportunities. Next slide, please. So when you log on to the website, our portal will have 4 areas for our small businesses, and for the purpose of this presentation this morning, we'll be targeting the economic impact, which are programs which support businesses, nonprofits from Nassau County, New York State, and federal sources. Next slide, please. So just a briefing of some of the areas that we will be presenting to you. When you go on the website, you'll see these particular links. We have our Boost Main Street Small Business Grant Program. That's our Nassau County supporting small businesses that have experienced financial hardship due to COVID, including retail and service businesses, and that are in need of financial assistance to continue to operate or be able to reopen as allowed by law during the crisis. Grants of $10,000 per business will be awarded for eligible businesses with 50 or fewer full-time equivalent employees. Eligible funding uses include commercial rent or mortgage payments. Also, we have the Boost Nassau Small Business COVID Recovery Loan Program. That's our lending source as part of the state's New York Forward Loan Program, the NYFLF. Boost Nassau Small Businesses Loan Program provides working capital loans for small businesses and nonprofits with 50 or fewer full-time employees and gross revenue of less than $5 million that can demonstrate loss of income due to COVID. Again, eligible applicants will receive loans up to $100,000, repayable over a 5-year term at 3% fixed interest for businesses, 2% interest rate for nonprofits, with interest-only payments during the first 12 months. Next slide, please. An additional link that we have on our webpage is for our New York State resources. That's the additional assistance for small businesses and nonprofits. It's the New York State Pandemic Small Business Recovery Grant Program. New York State program to provide grants of up to $50,000 to small businesses with 100 or fewer employees, including for-profit, arts, and cultural institutions, demonstrating 25% loss in annual income due to COVID. We also have from New York State the NYS Restaurant Resiliency Program, and that's a program to provide grants to restaurants that choose to provide meals and food to people within distressed or underrepresented communities. The funding amounts and information on how to apply to be determined by the Empire State Development is the link that's there. And you'll be able to see all of this on our portal. Then we also have the New York State Arts and Cultural Organization Recovery Grant Program. That's a grant program administered by New York State Council on the Arts to provide funding to nonprofit arts and cultural institutions for working capital and operating expenses. Next slide, please. In addition to the county resources, state resources, we also will be assisting you with the federal resources, our EIDL, which is our Economic Injury Disaster Loan, loans for businesses and nonprofits experiencing loss in revenue due to COVID for up to $500,000, repayable over a 30-year term at 3.75% fixed interest for businesses. And we also have the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, which is another federal program. That's emergency assistance grants of up to $10 million provided to eligible live venue operators / promoters, theatrical productions, live performing arts organization operators, our museum operators, motion picture theater operators and owners, and talent representative with 50 or fewer full-time employees. And then, so in order for you to schedule an appointment for one of these areas that we can assist you with, and this is a one-on-one, hand-in-hand operation that we have here to serve all of our small business owners. You can click on the link that you'll see provided, and it will bring you to the next slide, please. And this is our intake form. This allows us to get all of the basic information so we're prepared for your appointment in order to serve you as best as possible. Again, it's just basic information, first and last name, email address, the preferred contact method, and also one of the initiatives that we feel so proud about is to offer assistance in multiple languages. The languages that we have here at the Boost Nassau Center are staff members that can not only speak with you in English, but fluent in Spanish, Hindi Urdu, Mandarin, Haitian Creole. And next slide, please. So in this intake form, you would specify that you are the business owner or representative, give us all of your business information, your website if you have, the date that your business has been started, because we're looking at businesses that have been formulated, no later than March 1st of 2020, what industry you're in, how many employees you have. And again, this gives us just a brief area so we'll know exactly what to do when you come in. Next slide, please. And then we also ask if you're registered with Nassau County. If not, we assist you in sharing that link with you. And are you certified as a minority or women-owned business enterprise, as well as are you a veteran? What type of assistance you're seeking for, and any specifics, there's a comment section if you're really focused on one particular area. Again, we want you to peruse the website and follow those links if you can, but if not, please click schedule this appointment by filling out this form. Then you can submit the button here. Next slide, please. So you see here, this is just a short a look as to what's going on in the center here. We have experienced resource coordinators that are here to assist you. Please, we are here to serve. It's a new initiative, and we want to make sure that the funds that have been given to the county, that they're directed and they're put in your hands so that your business can not only survive, but to thrive. Next slide, please. The location of the Boost Nassau Resource Center is right here in Eisenhower Park, 1899 Hempstead Turnpike. We're in Field 6 here in East Meadow. Our hours of operation are Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4:45 p.m. You can call the center at area code 516-572-2888. Again, it's 516-572-2888. Or you can reach us by email at boostnassau@nassaucountyny.gov. boostnassau@nassaucountyny.gov. So the website again is www.nassaucountyny.gov/boostnassau. Thank you so much.
You're muted, Lionel.
Lionel, you're muted.
I'm sorry. Again, Dr. Williams, thank you so very much. I appreciate you sharing that information with us. Again, we know that you're here to help the businesses that are out there. So we encourage everybody to please go to the website, take a look. If you need any questions, if you have any questions, if you need that assistance, feel free to schedule an appointment and feel free to share that with any other businesses or organizations that you feel should be able to assist with that. Next slide, please. Next, we have our friends from the National Development Council in DC, who will be going over their programs and working with Nassau County. We will have Jazmyn Blockson, Conor McCarthy, and Finnegan. You guys want to take it away?
Thank you. And thank you very much for the invite to participate this morning. We are super excited to be here. We are very excited about helping the county implement the Boost Nassau Main Street Recovery Grant Program. Joining us today and actually doing our presentation is our team, Jazmyn Blockson and Conor McCarthy. Jazmyn is going to be running through the eligibility criteria, the use of proceeds, how the grants can be used, the documentation requirements for the program. And at each critical juncture, Conor is going to repeat some of those highlights in Spanish. We wanted to just add a couple notes before we get started. Number one, we really appreciate this platform. It's a great way to get the word out, and I think it's a fantastic effort to just lay out a number of the resources that are available. We're happy to be implementing this one aspect. We hope this is just our first of several webinars, and as these programs continue to evolve, we'd be honored to come back and talk more about them. And in light of that, wanted to let you know that the program we're going to be talking about today is up and running. The portal is open. The applications are being reviewed as we speak. But the county exec and the legislature have just approved a new funding source for this grant program, which greatly expands some of the eligibility criteria. So this program will be evolving. We would like to encourage everyone, all small businesses and these TA providers that are out there helping these small businesses navigate the resources that are available, to make application. If we cannot qualify you under the program as it currently exists, over the next few weeks, it will be expanded and we will hang on to your application and revisit it with the expanded criteria. So we're going to talk today about basically what's out there today, and just know that there will be expanded opportunity to apply coming over the next couple of weeks. So with that, I'm going to bow out, exit stage left, and Jazmyn and Conor will take over our presentation. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everybody. As Ann said, my name is Jazmyn Blockson, and I am part of the NBC Small Business Recovery Team. We are the third-party administrator of Nassau County's Boost Nassau Main Street Recovery Grant Program, which is hosted on SurveyMonkey Apply. The website is nbc.smapply.io. And then our email is ncmsrecovery@ndconline.org. Next slide, please. So, an overview of the Nassau County's Boost Nassau Main Street Recovery Grant Program. It is a small business program for those in Nassau County who have experienced financial hardship due to COVID-19. and that are in need of financial assistance to continue to operate or to be able to fully reopen as allowed by law. This program is for sole proprietors or businesses with 50 or less full-time equivalent employees, and the grant is $10,000. Next slide. So for eligible businesses, as I mentioned before, you have to have 50 or less full-time equivalent employees. A full-time equivalent employee would equal 40 hours of work. So if you have two part-time employees that each together work 40 hours, that equals one full-time equivalent employee. The program right now is for Main Street businesses that are retail or service-based, but as Ann mentioned, soon the eligibility will expand to all business sectors. That includes for-profit and nonprofit businesses. If you are a nonprofit business, you must have a 501c3 designation. As I said before, you must be located in Nassau County to be eligible for this grant, and you must have revenues of $5 million or less in annual revenue. And like I said before, currently be open at some level. We can get into the details of if your business is struggling to remain open, how this program could help support you. This slide says that you must create or retain at least one low or moderate income job at full-time status, but that actually may not be the case moving forward. That requirement is in place right now, but as the eligibility expands, that requirement may not be necessary. So stay tuned. to our website for updates, and please feel free to email us if you have any questions. And lastly, you must certify and demonstrate that you have had a financial impact due to COVID. Next slide. So ineligibility, as I said before, you cannot have more than 50 employees. You cannot be in violation of the New York State executive orders relating to COVID-19, and you may not have any bankruptcy proceedings filed within the last 12 months. Next slide. Continue with ineligibility, you may not be in default or have losses caused to the federal government, and you may not be in conflict of interest with Nassau County. So you may not be an elected official, and you may not be a Nassau County employee. Next slide. So eligible businesses. As the program expands, all small businesses and nonprofits will be eligible. Pretty much all business sectors will be eligible for this program. And you must be certified as a small business by that definition. And again, if you are a nonprofit, you must have the 501c3 designation. Startup businesses are also eligible to apply, but you must be able to certify and demonstrate financial hardship due to COVID-19. Next slide. So certification and demonstration of financial hardship. So as part of the applications, applicants need to identify COVID-related or other economic harm experienced due to COVID-19. So some examples, and this list is not exhaustive, but shutdowns due to state mandates, limited seating capacity, decline in gross receipts, COVID-related expenses such as PPE, barriers of partition, staffing difficulties. If you can demonstrate that you have had an economic hardship and financial loss due to COVID-19, you may be eligible for the $10,000 grant. Next slide.
Jazmyn, do you want me to just jump in for a second, just go over some of these in
Conor,
Spanish?
I apologize. Yes, please.
Yeah. So maybe we could just jump back,
Can we go back last slide?
to maybe 2 more slides back. Thank you. And then 1 more slide. Thank you. So, gracias por estar aquí, y lo que estamos tratando de hacer hoy día es que estamos ofreciendo becas de un tamaño de menos de 10,000 por cada negocio o organización de fines de lucro, y estamos buscando por 50 negocios que solamente tienen 50 empleados o menos. Además, necesitan que demostrar que han visto una disminución de ganancias durante el año de 2020. Gracias, ya podemos seguir. Jazmyn, you want to continue?
Okay. Absolutely. If we can advance 2 slides, please. Do you want to go ahead and do this as well? Or
Yeah, that'd be great. Y como Jazmyn dijo, lo que estamos tratando de hacer aquí con ese programa es que queremos servir ambos negocios que están buscando for profit, y además estamos sirviendo organizaciones de fines de lucro. Jazmyn?
Thank you. And Conor, please jump in when we get to the use of funds. If I forget again for the translation, I apologize for that. Next slide. 1 more, please. So no duplication of benefits. Folks who did apply for other grants through Nassau County are eligible to once again apply for the Main Street Recovery Grant Program, but there cannot be a duplication of benefits, meaning that in the application, the applicant will need to indicate if they did receive other COVID response proceeds, grants, and loans from Nassau County or the federal government. And then if so, you would need to certify that the funds from the Nassau County Main Street Recovery Program will not be used for the same benefits that the other grants were used for. And if this is something that you need more explanation, again, please feel free to email us and we can explain to you if you are eligible to apply for this program. Once again, if you have received other Nassau County grants or any other federal grants or loans. Next slide. Businesses are only eligible for one grant from the Nassau County Main Street program, regardless of how many locations you have. So each entity may only apply one time, one tax ID per grant. Next slide. Use of proceeds. Businesses are able to use this $10,000 of inventory and supplies, rent, utilities, property taxes, lease or purchase of equipment, operating or emergency maintenance. Conor? Oh, can we go back one slide, please? Just to the use of proceeds. Thank you. Conor, if you don't mind translating.
Yeah, por supuesto. So, aquí tenemos todos los fuentes que podemos cubrir con el beca o con la beca, incluyendo inventario, renta, utilidades, impuestos de su propiedad y otras categorías que tenemos aquí.
So again, how to apply. You can go to ndc.smapply.io, and this link that you see on the screen is the full link that will take you right to the application. Well, if you go to ndc.smapply.io, you'll see other programs are available where NDC is a third-party administrator using SurveyMonkey Apply. But for this program, please make sure to click on the Boost Nassau Main Street Recovery Grant Program link. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to email us. The email again is ncmsrecovery@ndconline.org. Thank you.
Next slide.
Jazmyn,
I apologize. We have one more slide. I apologize about that. So for required documents, applicants will need to provide a copy of a photo ID for every owner that has 20% or more ownership of the business. And then we'll also need a IRS 941 or NYS 45 if your business has employees or contractors. Then we'll need a certification of ownership, a good faith certification, and a declaration of ownership, a 2019 business tax return or 2020 business tax return if that has been filed, as well as a 2021 year-to-date profit and loss statement, a W-9, and wire info if you are awarded. And I do believe that was the last slide. Thank you, guys.
Yes, it was, Jazmyn. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yourself and Conor did a great job. Again, we understand it's a lot of information, but again, the Boost Nassau Resource Center is here. You can reach out to them and they can review these items with you and steer you in the right direction. As it states on our next slide, we now will provide you with the New York State COVID-19 Pandemic Small Business Recovery Grant Program. Our presenter for this will be Huey-Min Chuang. If you want to just go ahead and proceed, and we'll advance as necessary. Huey?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Lionel, for the invitation to present the $800 million New York State Pandemic COVID-19 Small Business Recovery Grant Program. And I would like to begin the presentation by highlighting, if you are at this point interested in applying, please submit your application as soon as possible. And the website for you to actually upload your application and document is www.nysmallbusinessrecovery.com. And we do have a 1-800 toll-free number that you can call between the hours of Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 1-877-721-0097. Once again, the phone number to call for any questions you may have about the program after I present, or you may have already have questions that you may have heard about the program, you're welcome to call the 721-0097 number. And for those in attendance that may need language assistance in other language besides English, the program has offered a program guide that I'm going to present throughout the rest of the webinar this morning that could be accessible to you at any time on the portal www.nysmallbusinessrecovery.com for languages in either Hindi, Bengali, Chinese Mandarin, Spanish, Arabic, Yiddish, German, Haitian Creole, Italian, Korean, Polish, and Russian. So there are 12 languages in addition to English that we are providing this program for you to access in case the community has a need. And also please do think about our businesses and friends and family in New York State that you could refer this program to by liking the webinar presentation this morning and also by sharing this link to the webinar where you have found the information. So without further ado, I'm going to begin the program info, and I'll repeat the access portal throughout the presentation so you can have it. By the time you're done with the presentation, you'll find out what the program is, how you can apply, how much grant you can qualify for, what the uses of the funds, who can upload documents once you're ready to proceed, and also what the next steps are. I will go in depth with answer to those questions that I mentioned before in the time that I have with you. And for the rest of the guide deck that you see right now, there will be pages that I'll go through pretty quickly at the end to tell you about what happens after you submit the application, give you tips. But you can find the entire deck of the program guide of the program at the website www.nysmallbusinessrecovery.com, and you just have to click on program guide in the middle of the web portal. Oh, next page, please. So what is the New York State COVID-19 Pandemic Small Business Recovery Grant Program? It's a program that was created to provide flexible grant assistance to currently viable small businesses, micro businesses, and for-profit independent arts and cultural organizations in the state of New York that have experienced economic hardship due to COVID-19 pandemic. So I want to highlight 3 points, major points in this particular statement that I made that was pretty long. So you have to be an eligible applicant, which is small businesses, micro businesses, and for-profit independent arts and cultural organizations currently operating in New York, and the use of fund is flexible, and you also have to demonstrate that you have suffered economic hardship due to COVID-19. So we'll go through each one of these components as we follow along the presentation. So again, you can find the info about this program, including translated documents and application in the 12 languages that I mentioned before at www.nysmallbusinessrecovery.com. And as you listen to the presentation, have in mind 10 persons, individuals you can forward the information to so they can also access grant proceeds for cash flow uses that they have right now. So how much can you actually get if you do qualify for a grant? So the grant awards will be calculated based on business annual gross receipts for 2019. So if you have gross revenue in 2019 on your file taxes to the federal government in your IRS forms for income taxes between $25,000 to $500,000, you can get a grant of $5,000 if your gross receipt was $25,000 to $49,999. And if your gross receipt was between $50,000 and $99,999, you can qualify for $10,000 grant per business. And if your gross receipts was between $100,000 to $500,000, you max at 10% of your gross receipts up to a maximum of $50,000. And yes, if you noticed, I just said per business. So if you have a distinctive employment identification number, EIN number per business, you can apply for more than one grant. And if you're a 1040 filer or sole proprietor, as long as you have a distinctive Schedule C for each of your business, you can apply for more than one grant. Also, an exception to the rule of maximum of $500,000 in your gross receipts for 2019 would be for those applicants who may have gross larger than $500,000 in 2019, but did gross less than $500,000 in 2020 because of major impact in the business. So, for example, I have a dentist practice that may have a $2 million gross revenue, gross receipts in 2019, but had very big drop in their revenues in 2020 because of COVID restrictions and people only went for emergency appointments, and they had a revenue of $500,000. They will be eligible to apply under this program. Next page. So now I'm going to go through who exactly is a small business, micro business, or for-profit independent arts and cultural organization that we're talking about for eligibility, and also who can comply with the COVID-19 health and safety protocol restrictions. So a small business that we refer here for this program means a business that is resident in the state of New York, incorporated, licensed, registered, independently owned and operated, not dominant in its field, and that has fewer than 100 employees. The same definition that I gave for small business goes for micro business, except that we're limiting the employment up to 10 employees. And lastly, the for-profit independent arts and cultural organization that we would like to encourage to apply, we mean a small or medium-sized private for-profit independently operated live performance venue, a promoter of events, production company, or performance-related business that is located in the state of New York that has been negatively impacted by COVID health and safety protocols and that has fewer than 100 full-time equivalent employees. And I believe that Jazmyn did mention what that means in terms of full-time equivalent employee, and I shall just remind you that it means 40 hours per week. They can add up part-time and seasonal employment up to the 40 hours per week definition, and you can calculate your full-time equivalent employees. Now, if you have difficulty trying to figure out exactly how to calculate that, I encourage you to contact Nassau County Resource Center to have a counselor help you figure out some of the eligibility in terms of how to calculate it. Or I also encourage you to tap into one of the 69 technical assistance free resource partners on this program that you can identify on our webpage at www.nysmallbusinessrecovery.com by going to the navigation bar at the very top of the page and clicking on Find a Partner. You can do that by location and by language. So there's 69 centers that you can locate at your leisure, at your convenience, and make it either a one-on-one appointment as well, or call for questions, or call the 1-877-721-0097, a number that I gave before for your questions and answers. Lastly, for all three eligible type of applicants, you must comply with the COVID-19 health and safety protocols during the executive order that was given in 2020 by Governor Cuomo, which is Executive Order 202, or any other extension of subsequent executive order that was issued in response to COVID-19 pandemic, or any other statute, rule, regulation that imposed restrictions on your operations. I believe probably 99.9% of all businesses within these categories that I mentioned probably have been impacted. So as long as you are one of those businesses that had an impact by the restriction that was imposed, please feel free to apply. Next page. So additional small business qualifications. So a small business, micro business, or for-profit independent arts and cultural organization that are eligible to apply, you must demonstrate that you're viable and that has begun operation only before March 1st of 2019, and that you continue to be in an operation at the time of application. You can have been shuttered for a little bit due to health and safety protocol that I mentioned before that was imposed on your business. However, when you apply, it must be intending to operate and has been open for business. So how do you demonstrate viability that I mentioned before as part of the requirement to prove? You can prove your viable business by providing your tax returns from 2019 by going to the line that demonstrate a positive net profit, which you can go and review the program guide for specific lines on your tax return to locate the number. So the net profit on your tax return must show $1 or greater of positive return on your business to demonstrate that you're viable. For example, if your net profit on your tax return showcase a negative $5 to $20, unfortunately, by this rule, you're ineligible for the program. So make sure to locate your 2019 federal tax returns and find that line on net profit. Also, applicants must demonstrate that they have a loss of income when comparing your 2020 tax returns that you file with federal government to your 2019 federal tax returns. Next page, please. So how do you demonstrate that? So if your gross receipts in 2020 was $100,000 and your gross receipts in 2019 was $150,000, then you have demonstrated that you have a reduction on revenue by greater than 25%. Then you meet the threshold that is required for you to demonstrate a loss of gross receipts and impact on COVID for this program. So for your tax returns, if you file 1120 or 1065, it will be on the line 1A. For Schedule C filers who are sole proprietors, you'll be on your Sorry, I'm talking about the gross receipts. So the gross receipts will be line 1A if you're filing 1120 and 1065. If you're a sole proprietor filing tax returns to the IRS, it will be line 1 for your gross receipts location to see about your a loss of receipts in the gross receipts in these 2 years to compare the 25%. For the net profit line, do take a look at the different forms. If you're not one of the ones that typically file for 1120 or 1065 or 1040C, and you do not know what line to locate, please call the toll-free number that I mentioned before to identify what line you may want to take. Once you have demonstrated a 25% loss of revenue as well as a viable net profit of greater than $1, you also must demonstrate that the amount of rent that you'll be received under the program is not greater than the total expenses that you have in 2020 on your tax returns. So, for example, if you're eligible for a $10,000 grant because you have a gross receipt of $100,000, but your expenses in 2020 was $8,000, you'll be maxed out at the $8,000 grant award. Next page. You also must be in substantial compliance with applicable federal, state, and local laws, regulations, codes, and requirements in order to apply. You must not have owed state taxes, federal taxes, local taxes prior to July 15 or 2020, unless you have a moratorium in place that you negotiated and agreed upon for the repayment plan, a deferral plan, or other applicable agreements. So you need to demonstrate that you're in compliance with payments of taxes in order to proceed with the application. You also must have not qualified for business grant assistance programs under the Federal American Rescue Plan of 2021 or any other available federal COVID-19 economic recovery or business assistance grant programs, including loans given under the Federal Paycheck Protection Program, or that are unable to obtain sufficient business assistance from such federal programs. Now, I know there was a mouthful that I just read. It's verbatim from the legislation that actually empowered the $800 million for this grant program. I'm going to give you good news. There are exceptions to this particular legislation rule, and that they are the following. And as long as you meet these qualifications, limitations, and have received awards under those thresholds, you're eligible to apply. So what are those that are being basically exception out from the rule? So if you're an applicant that have received and are being awarded a Paycheck Protection Program loan that totals $100,000 or less, it doesn't matter if you apply for a Paycheck Protection Program round 1, round 2, or have partially forgiven loans or fully forgiven loans or none forgiven. As long as the total amount adds up to $100,000 or less, you're good to go for the application. For those who also have applied to a COVID-19 IEDL advance grant of $10,000 or less, you're good to apply. If you also tap into the COVID-19 IEDL supplemental targeted advance grant program of $5,000 or less, you're also good to go. And lastly, if you apply for SBA Charter Venue Operator Grant, no matter what amount you received, you're good to go for the program. And if you apply for all four, as long as the limitation is within those thresholds I mentioned, you're good to go. Additional information. So this program, although it's $800 million, I would encourage you to apply as soon as possible because the program opened on June 10th, and there have been a very well-received application, a pool of interested applications that come in. So if you're interested, please apply as soon as possible. And as you apply, we're going to make sure that eligible applicants have to provide evidence acceptable to New York State that you are an eligible applicant based on what I described before, that is currently operational, and that you're not restricted by any current state, local, or agency mandate to be closed. Due to the high volume, we will prioritize the awards of the grants. Once you have submitted the application, we will determine the business type, geography, industry that may factor into your ability to receive a grant. And we'll also be given priority to economically and socially disadvantaged business owners, including but not limited to minority and woman-owned business enterprises, service disabled veteran-owned businesses, and businesses that are located in communities that are socially distressed prior to March 1st of 2020, as determined by the most census data. Now, if you have joined us a little later and you're wondering how quickly can I take note of all these requirements and eligibility criteria, do not fret. Please visit our website, www.nysmallbusinessrecovery.com. You can find this exact program pages webinar deck that I am providing you right now by clicking at the middle of the navigational page on that portal program guide, and you can click on the language that you want to get the whole entire comprehensive screenshot step-by-step application guide that I'm going through. So who is ineligible for the business application? All nonprofits, churches, and other religious institutions are not eligible to apply, but please do check out the Boost Nassau County grant program up to $10,000. I believe they did say that nonprofits are eligible to apply, so that's another venue. And I'm glad that we're doing this collaborative resource webinar so that every attendee can receive some assistance. And if you have questions, please do reach out to your Boost Nassau Resource Center counselor who can help you. Government-owned entities and elected official offices are not eligible to apply for this grant fund. Businesses primarily engaged in political lobbying activities are also not eligible. Businesses that received awards from the SBA Restaurant Revitalization Grant Program is also not eligible. Landlords and passive real estate income businesses are not eligible. Illegal businesses and enterprises and other industries and business types that may be specified by ESD are not eligible. So now we want to move on. Now we know who can apply, basically how you can apply. We are going to tell you what documents are required for you to complete the application process. We must have the entire copy of your return that you filed for 2020 to the IRS, as well as 2019 tax returns. So for corporations and LLCs, I have mentioned before, your IRS Form 1120. For partnership, you'll be the IRS Form 1065 and Schedule C-1S. For sole proprietors, you will include the IRS Form 1040 and Schedule C. So if you did have the documents readily available right now, please just scan it into PDF format under 15 megabytes. When you are requested to upload your documents upon your completion of application online, please submit the whole entire filing in one PDF form if you can, and if not, please make sure you break it down in 2 documents but scan it whole entire pages. And it's possible that even if you do submit your entire tax return, there may be pending questions. And if there are questions about your tax returns, you may be solicited to fill out the IRS Form 4506-C by Lendistry. Now, Lendistry is the entity that we have contracted as New York State administrator for this grant program. So all communication that you'll be receiving for this grant program will come from lendistry.com. So please make sure you look out for the email in your junk box and spam box filters to make sure that you do respond to any updates that you may need to follow up with or any updates on your application progress. So if you get asked by Lendistry to provide and complete the Form IRS Form 4506-C, you will be given an authority for Lendistry on behalf of New York State to pull your taxes directly from IRS, but not all applicants will be required to fill out that form, only if you get requested. Next, you need to demonstrate that you're currently operating. How do you do that? There are a series of documents you can pick. Only 2. You're only required to upload 2 forms of document to prove your current operation, and the document that you can upload should be distinctive. So don't provide 2 copies of a utility bill for March or April or May or June, because that will be the same type of documentation. So 1 copy is the June utility bill that demonstrates you're still currently operating, or July if you already paid it. That'll be great. So the other documents that are eligible to be submitted are a current copy of your lease, utility bills, current business bank statement, current business mortgage statement, a business credit card statement, a professional insurance bill for your type of business, a payment processing statement that like Master, Discover, Amex, PayPal, any other way you get paid, or you pay your vendors. Also, NYS ST 809 or ST 100 sales tax collection documentation that may be filing monthly or quarterly. So any 2 of these sets will be eligible to be uploaded. So don't think too much. Just locate the first 2 that you have uploaded, then you're done with that particular requirement. Next, we're going to ask you to provide information about the schedule of ownership for your business. For anyone who owns more than 20% of your business, please have ready their name, addresses, social security numbers, phone numbers, emails, percent ownership, and a photo ID that can accompany that person that you are putting in on the form. I suggest that you write down all the answers to the questions and documentation that you have prior to going to the portal to upload the information on the electronic form. You'll make it so seamless and easy, it will be done in 10-15 minutes if you have all the info readily available. For those owners who are not U.S. Individuals, you can apply for the program as long as you can provide 2 documents. a copy of your individual taxpayer identification number, and a verification form, IRS Form CP-565. If you provide those two documents, you can apply and proceed with the application. For employers who have employees that are not sole proprietors, you must also submit your NYS 45 document to verify numbers of employees. You also need to provide one of the following documents to prove that you're currently operating in the state of New York as well as registered to do business here legally. So we need a copy of either your current business license, a current business certificate, a business certificate of organization, a certificate of assumed name if you're doing DBA, a New York State certificate of authority, a copy of your articles of incorporation, a copy of your New York State municipality issued document showing authorization to operate in the state of New York. Lastly, this program will only be distributing grant awards electronically through fund transfer via banking account. So if you currently do not have a bank account, we need to encourage you to contact one of the 69 technical assistance providers on the portal that you click by looking at the navigation bar, find a partner, either by location or by language, and ask for assistance to open a bank account. You do need a viable bank account for you to receive funds, and you'll be required to submit the W-9 form as well to receive funds. Now, we're going to talk about a little bit about how you can use these funds once you get the awards of $5,000 or $50,000. So grants are flexible in terms of what usage you may use it for. As long as the expenses were incurred between March 1st, 2020 and April 1st of 2021, and that are not duplicative of other expenses that have been already paid by other grant sources that you may have received. So again, those expenses are pretty wide-ranging. They could include payroll costs, commercial rent or mortgage payments for a New York State-based property, payment for local taxes, school taxes associated with the business location, insurance costs, utility costs, cost of personal PPE for yourself, for your employees, for your customers, heating, ventilation, and AC costs, upgrades of machinery, equipment costs, supplies, and material necessary for full compliance with COVID-19 health and safety protocols, and any other documented typical, regular, incurring business expenses that have been impacted by COVID-19 that you can demonstrate that had to be pre-approved by Empire State Department if they are outside of this wide-ranging list that I just mentioned. So I suggest utilizing the funds for things that could be easily spent and just making sure that you state the receipt that you are using the grant fund to reimburse yourself for, so that when you get audited or you get asked for compliance and proof documentation for the funds that you have expensed, you can provide pretty quickly and easily. So for ineligible uses of the funds, no portions or any portion of the grant can actually be used to repay or pay down any portion of the loans that you may have obtained through the federal COVID-19 relief package for small business assistance or any other New York State business assistance loan programs. Next page. So now we talked about who can apply, how you can use the money, what document we need to do. We will encourage you to visit www.nysmallbusinessrecovery.com. If you deem yourself interested to apply, just to start the application process, you need to open an account. Once you open an account and you have your password username registered, you'll be asked to fill out the information that you already will have in your hands, have written down the info like I recommended, so you can upload your answers. And you have to check off on the application certification. So can you just scroll through the next couple pages? So this page is about the 5-page certification that walks you through certifying what I just mentioned about if you're an eligible applicant, you use the fund for the appropriate sources and uses. And at the end, if you are interested in proceeding, you sign off on the certification at the page 5 at the very end, which you see fill out info. You can do it 2 ways: download the app, download the certification, sign up, sign for it, upload it, scan it, and send it back, or you can electronically read it and sign off. So there are very specific instructions on how you go through this process in the next couple pages. So they just flip those through pretty quickly. Next page. So these are screenshots, which I'm not going to walk you through. Go to the program guide, read at your leisure. You can, if you need the assistance. Otherwise, just click on it and upload and send back. Next page. Same thing for certification. Moving on. So now I'm going to walk you through a few quick tips about the application, and please take your time to read the specifics. When you these tips relate to technology mostly, so please use Google Chrome for a seamless experience on this application process. Please clear your cache information, use incognito mode, and allow pop-up basically, because there will be information for you to use. So the instructions for these are screenshots. So I'll stop right here. So this is the document that shows you a screenshot of how to upload documents correctly. So on the right-hand side, you see what is the correct upload. If it's not uploaded correctly, you receive an email telling you to go back and upload it again. If you need assistance with technology in terms of apps and download, please reach out to one of the technical assistance provider on the portal, www.ny.smallbusinessrecovery.com, or visit this page and download the app here to the left-hand side that you can go onto the program guide on that web page. Next. Please make sure you have a valid email address that is accepted for the program, and if you don't have one, please create one, and these are examples how you can create one. Next page. Again, these are the languages. Please review them if you've forgotten what those 12 languages are. And if you do visit a local community store that you really enjoy and they may not have access to this information on the webinar in English, please do be so kind to forward the web address as well as the toll-free number. The toll-free number also have availability to answer questions in 12 languages as long as you ask the representative to be transferred to a translation service. So next, the application. So I'm also going to walk through these pages pretty quickly. So when you go to this page, please stop on this page for a moment. You're going to actually sign up an account. When you go on it, you will say you are now in line to start a new application for the grant program. You will tell you how many people are ahead of you. So at the time when we did the screenshot, there were 2,340 people ahead of you, and the wait time is 5 minutes or less. So please stay on. If it's 5 minutes or less, you can actually get your user account set up so you can come back to it with the answers you want instead of forgetting to come back and thinking that you've done it already. Or if you really can't wait up to 5 minutes, please put your email here. You get notified if you want to come back later. But I recommend highly that you stay on. These are just pages with the same information I gave you before, except I want to highlight. If you want to opt in for a phone call to you on updates on the application or SMC text, you have to opt in. If you don't want, you don't have to do anything. And the information that we go through these application pages are the ones that I mentioned before about information requested. So next page, please. Next page. These are all just info that is being requested. Next page. Next page. Next page. Okay, so once you have gone through the application, which is electronically done, once you set up the user account with the password, at the very end, you're going to submit it. So you have to say, yes, I certify all the information and I confirm everything I put in is correct. Once you do that, you'll get sent. Next page. Once you get sent, on the right-hand side, if you take a look at this email sample, it's a confirmation that you submitted the application at your email address that you have set up for this particular grant program. Now, make sure you notice at the very top left corner the icons for Lendistry and for ESD in case there are scammers out there trying to replicate something. So make sure you recognize the email as such. It tells you confirmation, complete file, the next step, or to upload your documents. It gives you a specific link to you for you to upload your documents. So when you submit the application, you have yet pending the upload of documents. So if you do not complete the document upload, you will not proceed to review and selection of grant award if you're eligible. Next page, please. So this is the page that shows you the user account and the password. Next page. All right, upload documents. I'm only going to show you this one slide that has a screenshot on the right-hand side. When you notice all the icons on orange, that means it's incomplete. So in order for you to know you completed uploading of your documents, all these boxes have to be green, like the first one that says completed. So make sure you highlight your screenshot when you actually look at your application to make sure that all is in green before moving on, closing out. Next page. Next page, these are all screenshots on how you upload documents. Lastly, once you get the funds, how do you get the money? I said electronically. There are two ways you can actually receive the funds besides the bank account. That is traditional transfer of funds between bank accounts that I told you can set up if you don't have one with the assistance of a technical service provider on our website for free. Or if you have an account already subscribed to Plaid, P-L-A-I-D, which is an app that you may have subscription to, that's the easiest way because they will already have verified your banking information and you get your money as soon as possible. There's no other way. There'll be no cash being distributed nor checks to be given. So pretty much once you get the funds, that's it. Keep the receipt of the uses of your award. And I encourage you to right now look at your business operation and look at payables that you owe someone that you need to pay in order to continue your operation. To use the money from the grant proceeds for those that you may have owed since March of 2020 and April of 2021. Also encourage those businesses or individuals that may owe you funds for services rendered that are in your receivables to use the proceeds of funds of the grant to actually pay those bills so they can actually pay you. So encourage them to apply. So I think by now you'll be able to determine if you're eligible to apply, how much you can qualify for, what you need to do next steps, and also 10 people that can use the funds. So again, the portal for application is www.nysmallbusinessrecovery.com, and the toll-free number Monday to Friday is 1-877-721-0097, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. in 12 languages. And that's it, and I think we're at noon exactly. So thank you for your attention to the specific of the program, and I welcome you to apply. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Huey-Min. That was a lot of information, and again, we appreciate you participating with us. Our team has been monitoring questions on Facebook. There was one question that we haven't been able to answer. The question came in: when will Lendistry start distributing funds if you already have an application in? Would you be able to answer that?
Yes, so Lendistry, if you have submitted your application and completed all the green dots that I mentioned, the screenshot for upload the document, your application will be sent for review and for selection of awards. And if you also remember on one of the slides, I talked about prioritization of the grant funds. So first awards will go out to priority-based applications. And as long as you have not received a notification that says your application is not going to be awarded, you're still in the running for the next selection process. So we have began review and selection process in the last week, and some grant awards are going out. But if you have not received a notification about not being funded, you are still in the running if you have submitted a complete application with all the green dots on your screenshot for submission of a document, and it's being reviewed and pending award until you receive that email.
Beautiful. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. Again, we realize there's a lot of information. That's why we wanted to have this presentation. A lot of documentation's needed. Sometimes it can be confusing, but again, we wanted to have this presentation so we could bring some clarity to it. And also, if you do have questions, we do again have our Boost Nassau Resource Center. That team is there to help you and walk you through which program would be best suited for you, and then put you in touch with those specific program administrators so you can apply and hopefully receive the funding and any other information that you might need. Again, thank you very much, Dr. Williams over at the Boost Nassau Center, Jazmyn Blockson, Conor McCarthy, and Ann Finnegan over at NDC, Huey-Min Chuang with the New York State Empire State Development to review that grant program. We thank you for joining us. And again, we're here to help. So please reach out. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We'll make sure that we can get you the answers you need. Thank you again, everyone. Be well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.